Hey, what's up, guys? Node Investor here. Welcome, everyone. Seeing some folks coming in, seeing the chat room starting to get going. So, say hello if you are here, if you are listening. I am doing well. Thank you for asking. I have been well. I've been on a little hiatus, a little bit offline. Still focusing on the markets, trading a little bit here and there, mostly stocks. To be honest with you, it's been a lot more exciting, but always keeping an eye on Bitcoin, crypto. I've taken some few trades here and there, but probably less than 30% of my time, to be honest with you, on that side. But doing well, staying healthy, thank goodness. Family's good. No vacations yet, nothing exciting, just kind of hanging in there, doing my thing, enjoying the quarantine as much as you can. I'm not wearing a mask right now, but I do wear a mask when I go out. So for those of you that are sensitive, chill out. Just kidding. But I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are staying healthy, and hope the trading is going good. But so let's get to it, cut to the chase. I am going to be taking a break from, and I've already been doing way less content than I have in the past. In the last month or two, it almost coincided with the whole COVID thing, the crypto or the quarantine thing. It just mentally I kind of went into slow down mode, and then I just kind of was like, yeah, this is kind of cool actually. Not that I don't enjoy doing these, for sure I do. I love posting content and all that. But to be honest, it's a lot of work. And so been a little bit quieter from the social media perspective, and I decided, you know what? It's the summertime. People are, travel will probably be a lot less this year than normal, but people are taking breaks anyway. So I said, I am going to do a 30-day break. And really, it's more of I would call it a 30-day challenge, not so much a 30-day break. It's a little bit of more of a 30-day challenge. And so here's what I'm going to not do during my 30-day challenge. I'm not going to post any videos. That's probably a given. I'm not going to post any tweets. I'm not going to be on social media. I am not even going to be on the Slack channel for most of the 30 days, maybe. And the big one, here's the big one, drum roll. I'm not going to do any trading for 30 days. And so let's, everything else is pretty solid. I'm pretty sure I can't not post videos and tweets. That's pretty easy. Not looking at the charts, now that's going to be the real kicker there. That's going to be the challenge. Yeah, a little bit of a dopamine detox, right? Dopamine fast. And I've already kind of been doing that anyway with the whole, when you go online, it's gotten better, but a month ago, every time I went online, it was just end of the world and riots and people dying, and this very enlightened society suddenly is gone crazy. And just I just read nothing online that was positive. Oh my god, it took everything in me to not jump in and start tweeting and replying and telling everybody how stupid they were. But I said, you know what, nah, I'm good, I'll just stay away. And I'm glad I did, because my sanity's been preserved. I was starting to think, am I the crazy one, or is everybody online just crazy? But anyway, it's all good. So yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. But I'll be back in August, unless I really enjoy my semi-retired mode, and may not. But from a trading perspective, from a income perspective, I'm really lucky in the sense that I don't have to rely on YouTube videos or selling newsletters or anything like that. I definitely don't rely on advertisements. And as you guys know, none of my videos have advertisements. So I'm lucky in the sense that I've not really needed to depend on that. I know some YouTubers have to make videos every day or several times a week, and that's a lot of work, honestly, and it gets boring if there's not a whole lot of stuff going on. But so yeah, I'm just gonna take the liberty that I have to take some time away. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully you guys are still here when I get back. All right, so let's get to it here. Looking at the charts now, this is the weekly view of Bitcoin, and honestly, like since the run up after the big drop, we kind of hit May, and since May, it's just been in this boring chop zone. I've taken some trades here. I wouldn't call any of the trades I've taken here like home runs. I've made some good ones here, some little ones. It's just mostly been like scalps long, scalps short. Just not a lot of momentum clearly. And when you're trading, the better markets are when they're trending, right? Not when they're this kind of consolidation mode, kind of pausing, doing that whole thing. But not a whole lot has changed since May in terms of the big picture view that I'm watching. On the upside, right? Like the resistance level to be watching, it's pretty much the same. It's that 10,500 level. And really, if you look at a weekly close over 10K, that would be significant, right? If we start to actually break that resistance level, because this goes way back to the summer of 19. It's been attempted at multiple times here and there. Most recently, we had that little bit of a spike. It looked like things were about to break out finally, and then they just pulled right back in. And that's not a whole lot. 4 red weeks in a row. Honestly, if I had to guess, I'm still leaning bearish. I'm still waiting for that little bit of a pullback, that shakeout that freaks everybody out. And then we finally can get going over that 10K again. That put in a little bit of a nice handle here, but either way, I'm agnostic at this point. I'm still holding BTC from a long term. I bought some ETH down here during the dump, and so clearly that's in the green. And so like at this point, it's just more of a patience game, waiting it out. There's certainly some trades to be had in the alts side of the markets, which we'll look at here. That's been way more exciting than Bitcoin. But from a BTC perspective, it's just kind of been slow trading, to be honest with you. I mean, at least for my part. I mean, I've taken a few shorts here, but I've been covering them quickly. I went short here, what was it, a couple weeks ago, and it was back here. Once it broke that 9K, covered there, bounced right back, and it's just, so far you've seen this little bit of a dump we had, a little bit of a rally, still right into those moving averages. I mean, just kind of classic, right, bounce, dead cat bounce here. And then today, just out of nowhere, dumps again after rejecting those moving averages. So not a whole lot. You can see very range bound, very sideways action. But I'm keeping an eye on here near term, right? I thought last week was going to be the week we finally saw it crack. When it finally cracked that 9K, bounced right back. Tried it again today. Haven't seen that close below, but I anticipate once we break below that 9K on a closing basis on the daily basis, you'll probably see that mid 8K, maybe even 8K tested pretty quickly. And then that might be the pullback I'm looking for, right? From a fib retracement level, I'm going to discount to these wicks. I'll do it with the wicks too, but I'm going to discount them just to show you what I'm watching here. All right, if you go to the 10.5, your 382 is right at 8,500, and your 50% retracement's right at 7,800, right? If you pull back and use the actual low, the end-to-end low, your 382 now is just below that 8K, around 7,900, and so that's kind of the zone I'm looking for if it does pull back. This is what I'm looking for, somewhere in there, maybe the 50%. That would really freak some people out, but I'd like to see that one more shakedown. But either way, I'm still holding it long. Most of the time I'm just kind of been hedging here and then just looking at the alts for the BTC outperformance, which is really where it's been right now. From a weekly perspective, it's still holding the moving averages, so technically still in a bullish posture, but I'm very cautious here. It's been just chop zone galore here for the last couple of weeks. You can see just clearly a sideways market. For those of you that follow the trading status here, these have been getting very chopped up here as of late too. I take these with a grain of salt when they are, when the market's range bound, right? When things are trending or when there's a big shift in a turning point, they're much more positive there in terms of reliability. But right now, they're just choppy. So even though the 4-hour strategy is staying short, the daily went long for a brief moment, then it went back to flat. So it's just been one of those, like, until we break out of the range, I'm not going to give those a whole lot of attention. I'm really just watching those horizontal price points that I mentioned, basically 9K, and then on the upside, if we can finally see price start closing over this 9,600, 9,700 again, that might be the signal that things are finally bouncing. But for now, not a whole lot to to do until it finally breaks out of this range, which I think it will eventually. I mean, it's not going to be here. It's been in here for almost 2 months. So that's very unusual. Generally, you'll see those, those pauses. You've seen one like back here where it was just kind of flat for 2 months. Then it finally popped through and we went on a little bit of a run for 4 or 5 weeks. I'm expecting something that here, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that big spike lower, little consolidation, and then the go. If it breaks to the upside, fantastic, right? I want to wait for this thing to break out. Big picture, still bullish. I'm still looking at this just bigger picture, symmetrical pattern that's been forming. A lot of people are watching this. That's why I'm looking at that 10.5. I think when it finally starts to clear that, that'll clear the trend line as well as this horizontal resistance. Things can really get going at that point. But until then, just gonna have to wait and see how this one plays out. All right, let's go look at some of the big cap names here, because there's been a little bit more excitement in some of those names. I'm gonna do BTC pairs first, and then we'll look at the USD pairs if some of them make sense. ETH is still one I'm watching here for a potential resumption of this uptrend. It had a nice rally off the lows versus Bitcoin right into May, and then just kind of has been in consolidation mode versus BTC here for quite some time. So it's one of those, wait for the trend to break, but I'm thinking this has a little bit more of a bullish posture, but it's one of those neutral patterns as well. So it's just a wait and see scenario, but these are the 2 levels I'd be watching on the ETH BTC pair. And I'm thinking if Bitcoin can start to bounce here and break that 10K, it'll be interesting to see if this one starts to outperform BTC or if the alts retreat here a little bit. Before I keep going, I'm going to go to the Bitcoin dominance chart, because that one has been something I was watching here. I had this posted over in the Slack group here, and I was watching this channel, and it was one of those like, is Bitcoin going to bounce here finally, or is the alt going to start to take off, and then we'll see Bitcoin break to the downside? And it was just kind of sideways. BTC dominance went sideways after that, meaning the big cap names haven't done a whole lot in terms of BTC outperformance either, and that's evident when you look at some of these charts. So going back to ETH, right, just pretty much sideways since June started here versus Bitcoin. Just, there's been some attempts to break out, then the pullback, but it's still very much range bound. Again, I'm still liking it. I'm looking at it from the upside, potential outperformance versus Bitcoin, but it's one of those just kind of wait and see scenarios. XRP, oh my God, XRP. Do we even want to talk about XRP? XRP, it's still being dumped on. And just so you guys know, Ripple Labs has a ton of XRP. They're still dumping on you bag holders. And you can see here, the chart just continues to show XRP grossly underperforming Bitcoin. And there's no sign of a low. Not yet. So XRP, it is what it is. Looking at Litecoin, LTC, BTC here. Let's go stick with the Binance pairs. Again, ugly chart versus Bitcoin has been underperforming for all of 2020, with the exception of this little rally we had at the start of the year, but just underperforming Bitcoin here, hitting a little bit of a low. If we look at some of the other indicators, though, I do want to point out that on some of these charts that have really been pulling back, there are potential divergences starting to show up, meaning maybe the sellers are starting to get a little exhausted here. What I like to see generally when I see these long downtrends and I start to see some RSI or MACD divergences, I don't usually start to front run this. Instead, what I look for is I look for that big climactic shakeout, that capitulation type of move, and then a quick recovery. If it can break this support very quickly and bounce right back up, I wait for that bounce back before I start kind of bottom fishing, if you will, and trying to catch some of these. Right now, it's just one of those like, well, there's no low in sight, and if I have to pick between this or BTC, I'm going to go with BTC. But the caveat being, if it does start to break trend, then you start to look for that where it finally can crack this downtrend and get some more positive action. But for now, underperforming Bitcoin. EOS, similar story for EOS. Big drop, started February, just like Litecoin and some of these others. This one never bounced back, contrary to like what we saw in the Ethereum chart versus Bitcoin. That one had a very nice strong bounce and has been holding up near the highs. This one has not, and just continues to look weak. And so the bigger cap names, Litecoin, XRP, EOS, Bitcoin Cash, just have all been very poor performers versus the BTC chart. Now, if you look at the USD pairs, it's a little bit different story, just because if Bitcoin's gone up that much from the lows, they look better. But it's always what's it relative to Bitcoin when you're trading the alts, and these have still continued to lag. Until that changes, I'm going to be patient and just wait them out. However, there's some good ones. So yeah, Cardano has been very good. One of the few on my radar, Cardano, Link. There's been a couple others. I was really liking Cardano here. Finally popped. I saw my alert go through yesterday. Very good action. This was just, I mean, classic consolidation. Look at that descending triangle base. Beautiful. I had my alert set down here for 3 days ago, and this was the candle it popped. You can see the volume on that move was above the prior day's volume. That was this candle. That was your signal that it's ready to go. Gave you a very brief pause for the next day, and then boom, just a big breakthrough to the upside. So still looking pretty good. I'm liking it. Longer term chart looks good. If you look at the weekly chart, it's coming off of a low. I think it has more to go, at least until these prior lows back in here. And so that's kind of a ways out. Still has plenty of room to go. I mean, but like anything else, you got to look at the pullbacks as opportunities and not necessarily chase the big green candles after they happen. Look for those consolidations like the one we just saw. Look for those pauses, pullbacks along the way. But Cardano, very nice. One of the few outperformers here as of late. Link is another one I've been holding, and Link's still looking pretty good. I'm liking Link here for a potential breakout versus Bitcoin here. If you look at the longer term chart of Link BTC going back to March, you can see this little consolidating starting to shape up. It's right at resistance here. Try to poke above today. I got an alert on this one yesterday as it starts to pop through, but this one looking pretty good. And if you go to the Link USD side, this corresponds pretty good with $5 mark as well, and that's another level to be watching here. If you look at Link, let me go to the daily chart. Here we go. Link daily, right? Here's $5 basically in and around there. And so a breakout over $5 on Link, I think it's going to be very positive. The Link BTC chart, again, it's right at resistance. So it's going to be interesting to see if it can finally push through, but there is nothing bullish or nothing bearish about this chart at the moment. It's a very positive looking chart. I like it. I am long Link, have been long for a little bit here, so full disclosure there, but we'll see how it acts. It's right at resistance, so definitely worth watching at this particular junction. The other thing to watch here is if it does pull back, does it hit this trend line and then get going again? So maybe you have some time on the Link, but I like it. Links looks good. Let me see, what are some of the other names on my list here? I had EOS, XLM, the Stellar Lumens has just been in this range again. Nothing to do here until it, in my opinion, can break above this bigger picture resistance. But on the flip side, it's continued to hold this longer term support. So something to watch here. I did see it pop here a little bit in the last day or two. So maybe some action showing up there on XLM. More to come here. Let's see here. The other ones on the list were Icon. Little consolidation here. We'll see if it can get going. Just kind of more near-term action is what I'm watching, right? So this last few days, see if we can break that downtrend. Until then, not a whole lot for me to do generally. And then IOTA has been getting a little bit of attention here. Again, if you believe the tech, then maybe you're bullish here at these extreme long time lows. But if you really zoom on these charts, I mean, just look at these poor charts versus Bitcoin. Most of them have given back so much value versus Bitcoin, but doesn't mean they're not tradable, right? There certainly are, especially if they start to turn the corner like they're doing now, testing some resistance here. It's certainly worth watching here in the very near term. A couple of more here. Let's go to the trending list because that's going to pull up some names that I've been watching here. KNC, one showing up on the list here a little bit. We know some of these other names have been on a tear as of late, the last few months. So we'll look at some of those here, but I'm seeing what else is on the list. Monero, DAI, of course. Tomo has been on a run already. Swipe, Knowles, Tron. All right, so, and for those of you that are not aware, the list is sorted by the 4-hour BMI, right? That's not the only filter, right? This looks at a couple of things, but when it narrows down, when it finalizes the list that's going to go on the trending list, I rank them by 4-hour BMI. So the 4-hour BMI puts them at the top of the list here. So K and C, we'll look at that one first. Bunter in the house. All right, K and C, looking at this one here. Very nice. And this one's been on our radar for some time, and we've been watching this one. last couple live streams, we were looking at this consolidation. It broke out. Nice little pop. Gives you that little pause. Secondary breakout happening underway right now. I'd be keeping an eye on some of these RSI divergences, though. If it starts to teeter out here, meaning it can't push much higher, then you got to be careful if it starts to confirm this divergence down here. Again, potential divergence, because this can be completely negated if this rally continues and the RSI starts to peak out again. But you're seeing it in the RSI, you're seeing it on the MACD as well. So just something to make note of. But nonetheless, one of the stronger names out there. But it's already been on a run. I mean, it's not like it's just begun. We've been watching this for quite some time. Up about 600% since January. So not too shabby. What were some of the other ones on the list there? Phantom finally pops off the lows. FTM. Finally off the lows here. It's been on a little bit of a rally pullback mode, and then boom, big spike today. Finally getting some life on that guy there, so definitely worth watching. The next one I'm going to be watching here. Let's go. Do we want to look at BNT? I guess we could. It's trending, so we all know what that chart looks like. But BNT, been on a run here for the last couple of months. No surprise there. Many of those in the category have been doing that here, but still going. Synex, it's never going down ever again. It's been a nice steady trend here, but more as of late, certainly starting to pick up some momentum. A lot of volume coming in here at the tops though, so I'd be, or not at the top, the last 2 days. So I'd be cautious that we're going to see some reversal, but definitely moving good here. Monero, let's go look at that. I'm curious to see what Monero is, and then we'll look at Cosmos. Monero. Is it finally going to break out of this range? Look at this daily chart versus Bitcoin. Oh my God. They're just flat, about as flat as can be, range bound and choppy versus BTC here. It's basically been Bitcoin mirror here as of late, but it's finally popping. We'll see if we can finally get some momentum. If you go to the 4-hour chart, you can see nice little breakout of range. See if we can hold it. Monero finally seeing some volume coming in. Maybe I'd put that on the watch list. We covered Link already. Let's go look at the Atom there. Atom, I'm gonna go to the daily charts. I'm kind of looking at the longer term view right now, just because that's been the better point of view as of late. The near term action is just way too choppy and not quite as valuable from a charting perspective here. But let me clear this stuff here. Yeah, maybe a little double bottom action happening here. Get rid of that RSI for you. I'd be watching this. You could certainly be seeing some double bottom action here. What I do like about this, again, it hasn't confirmed, and it's a flattish kind of double bottom, but you have this low, and you can see that, let me put the line there, it'll be way easier to see. The low from May was just barely undercut on this big high volume candle, which is usually a good sign because it undercuts the prior low just enough to take out stops and do all that fun shenanigans, and then it bounced right back. Again, it hasn't confirmed, so I'd be watching it because it's still very much in a downtrend. But if it is starting to find a low here, you can see some momentum start coming in here. And then, of course, the big resistance to be watching on the upside is right there. That would also form the neckline of this double bottom. So not too shabby. Generally, what I like to do with double bottoms is I don't wait for them to actually break out. So what I'll do is I'll do something like this. This is just me, but when I see them bounce like that off of a low, I'll use that as a stop. In this case, the risk reward doesn't even make sense. You've got a less than a 1-to-1 here, but if it's a deep double bottom, that's generally what I'll do, and then I'll scale out once it breaks out, and then if I look for a pullback, I'll scale back in. But right here, it's like kind of 1-to-1, so I don't know. I'd almost wait for it to break out at this point. What else? Make or Die, Ocean, You Trust, Elderon, Tomo. We looked at Cardano, very nice. Let's go look at Tron. Tron, there's a name that everybody loves to hate. Tron. Yeah. Nothing too exciting. I mean, on the shorter time frames, maybe, right? But yeah. Okay. Tomo. zoom out. Look at that. Tested that resistance almost to the penny there before pausing and pulling back here a little bit. It's always interesting when they do that. But, all right. Chain coin. Oh man, oh man. So let's go. What else is on the list here? No, so do we want to look at any of those here? Probably not. How's the bot status doing for the BTC, the big cap names here? Let me filter by, I'm going to filter by ranking here. So ETH, Tron, XLM, we looked at that. Cardano, we looked at that. IOTA, Atom, we looked at that. XRP, XMR, and Link are strong. We saw those. It looks like the bot is long for both of those versus Bitcoin. And everything else is red, red, red. That makes sense. Link or LTC looked ugly. EOS looked ugly. Bitcoin Cash looked ugly. Oh man. XTZ, let's go look at that guy. XTZ, BTC. It's showing weak, but it's right at support there. I'd be watching that, see if it can finally bounce. But yeah, that's a line in the sand that I've been watching here for a little while now. It was support back in April, and it's testing it again. If I was looking to go long, I basically would wait until these moving averages reversed or price got back above, you know, this declining moving average. It's right at support. Wouldn't be surprised if it cracked, to be honest with you. Okay, what else? Weak Neo, Bat. Bat was looking pretty good last week. What happened to Bat? Bat gave it up. It's on a nice little run for a while. This might be a pullback to be watching, though. Might not be a bad pullback to watch because you had this little, I wouldn't call it a breakout, but it was clearing some near-term resistance, right? You had this spot here, the line in the sand, finally popped. You can see how quickly it accelerated once it broke above that level. You know, that was peak to peak was a quick 20+%, and it's gave it all right back. It's pulling right back to the 22 EMA on the daily, and this is where you want to see it hold up if this is going to be a pullback entry. So I'd be watching it here. All right, let's get to the DeFi names, or more of them here. Ethland, I don't know. Feels a little double toppy here. It's only up 200%. I say that sarcastically. The weekly chart is well above even the 10-week EMA. I mean, best case scenario, you get the weekly chart pause a little bit here. You can see it's forming an inside bar on the weekly. You had this big run, and then the last week when it pulled back, you know, here's the low, here's the high. You can see this week has just been within that range. So kind of consolidating there. That's what you want to see. If it's going to hold up, you want to see it hold the line. And I mean, in my opinion, the best case scenario would be like a little ascending triangle base or something forming right here, secondary base, and then get going. That'll let things cool off and let things digest here on the weekly. Otherwise, then if you take the bear case scenario, you say this is a double top, right, on the daily, then the question is how low will it go? And you could do a little bit of a measured move. That's one way I would do it. And I would usually use the smaller peak as my measurement. Extrapolate that down, and then you're basically looking at a retest of the prior breakout point is where the double top would target. So, yeah, probably nothing to do here until I can consolidate a little bit more. It's my opinion. This is not financial advice. Read the disclaimer. Oh, yeah. Hey, Christopher. Welcome, my friend. Munter, hoping for some cheap land. I know. Let me know when you buy, dude. Munter always gets all the better coins, and then he just holds on to them, and then they're like, they go up 1,000%. No joke. All right, so back to BTC here. Big picture, as you guys know, it's just kind of been chop zone for the last several weeks, really the last several months. I mean, if you go back to the daily chart here, looking at the BTC daily, I'm still leaning bearish. It just feels like it's doing one of these little rollovers, and then you're gonna, you know, eventually people will just realize what's going on, and then you finally get that smackdown, and then it'll probably be over and it'll be all good. But you know, until it breaks out of range, probably not a whole lot to do. It's just literally range bound, and probably not a whole lot to do. I'm thinking, you know, below this 9K, you'll quickly see like mid 8Ks, 8,500, 8,600, and then maybe sevens, But on the upside is really the more important thing. I think any dips, in my opinion, will be opportunities. So if it does break into the 8Ks or the 7Ks, I would welcome that personally. But in the end of the day, I think the big picture is really what you're going to be watching here. And, we're talking like months out, maybe years. But I think when you finally break out of this big pattern, and if it's late 2020 or 2021, whenever that happens, we're going to look back at this little consolidation. It's probably a good opportunity to accumulate a little bit, but we'll see. That's the bigger picture view. That's, the same resistance level that we've been watching for quite literally months remains the same here, so not a whole lot there. KNC, yeah, we did that one here at the start. Strong name, no doubt, and it's been strong for some time. This was the consolidation you wanted to watch here. And then it finally broke out. So if you aren't on top of that, at this point, I'd probably look for pullbacks. It is feeling a little extended here near term. Some divergences showing up. So just be mindful of that. I would hesitate to chase it at this point if I wasn't already on it. So that's just me. Could keep going. There's definitely no sell signals. It's just one of those like risk-reward favor, right? So you got to think about that. All right, what else was on the list here? Utrust, Monero, Swipe. I think we covered most of the ones that I wanted to see here. So for those of you that are just joining, I did cover briefly about my upcoming vacation. I don't know if I'd call it a vacation. It's going to be more of a 30-day break, aka 30-day challenge. And so just to recap very quickly here, for those of you that are already here, I'm going to be taking a break from YouTube videos and from Twitter and social media and Slack for 30 days. 30 days. And the big kicker is I'm going to take a break from trading, like day trading, right? Not like longer term, selling everything, doing an Elon Musk. Not doing that. But just from kind of my day-to-day day trading, including stocks, all that stuff, and gonna enjoy that time. It's probably the first time ever in my life that I've done that, so that'll be interesting. See if I can actually pull it off and not look at the chart for 30 days. But I'm thinking I can. I'm gonna do the willpower. I'm gonna focus on other things. I'm gonna be doing some just kind of catching up, some reading, some just like some dopamine detoxing. Not that I'm really that addicted, honestly. I'm one of those that I could be just fine with like not checking my phone for 2 hours. No problem here. But that's gonna be it. I'm gonna enjoy it. Will I miss some good trades? Absolutely. Do I care? Absolutely not. Like the markets will be there when I get back. It's no big deal. Hopefully you guys will be here when I get back. Unless I really enjoy it and I just decide to retire. But that's probably not going to happen. I'll get too bored. But yeah, that's the gist of it here. So there you go. But everything will keep running. The Slack group's going to be there. There's still people posting. The site's going to stay. I mean, nothing's going to change other than you just don't get to hear my voice. But yeah, we'll see. See how it goes. Maybe when I get back in August, Bitcoin will be back to 7K and I'll buy some more. But all right, here. So yeah, so the Bitcoin 1 hour, it's not looking good. The short-term action just doesn't look positive, to be honest with you. It's just, yeah, that was a break. I think any bounces into kind of this little zone right here are worth watching, and you could very likely see that next leg down, at least to retest the most recent lows. But personally, I mean, I'm leaning bearish, but like I said, it's range bound, and honestly, in this market, at least for the last 2 months, looking at 1 hour charts and even 4 hour charts for Bitcoin has just not been that helpful. And that's just, that's why most of the charts we looked at today have been the daily view. This is really where the better guide has been. But that's just me. I mean, you can certainly do well on the 1 hour charts if you're, with margin and all that good stuff, but it's not trending, right? It's just choppy, so not quite as fun. But some of the better ones here, Link, definitely watching Link, liking Link here, looking good. What were the other ones? Cardano, of course, looking pretty positive. Has had a nice move. We looked at KNC, a little extended there. Let's quickly cycle through. We looked at FTM. We looked at, what were some of the other ones here? We looked at that guy there. Tezos, right at the line. I'd be watching that. Oh, ETH. ETH was the other one that was looking positive versus Bitcoin. Again, range bound, but I'd be keeping an eye on that one because could be setting up. I'm going to go through my charts here to see. Oh, Monero. Monero finally broke range out of Bitcoin, so definitely watch that bad boy there. ZIL, 0x. I'd be watching this one. It did hold the line here, so you can see this, not that guy. You can see this support bounced and held, so keep an eye on that one. XRP, it's never going up ever again. Tron, Neo was red. OMG was interesting. Litecoin, yeah, we looked at Litecoin. I mean, again, I'm looking at the daily chart. That's what I'm looking at, and not looking at the hourly charts. I'm looking at the 3-hour charts. I'm looking at the daily charts. Maybe double bottom on some of these things, but until they actually turn the corner, I'm not gonna front run them. No knife catching here. What else? Matic, Atom. Oh, Atom was a potential double bottom. Maybe. Again, longer term chart still pulling back, so time will tell. No rush. No rush. There's better things to trade anyway, right? Just keep an eye on strength. That's one thing I always like to say is bet on strength. I mean, yeah, cherry picking and finding the bottoms, and that's great if you have a ton of patience and you just kind of forget about them, but if you're active and you want to be trading and optimize, then you always bet on strength. You always go on where's the action, what's moving, and that's, I take the same approach with stocks. Like almost every day, it doesn't matter what the general stock market's doing, and to be honest, most of those days I could care less. There's always some news in the stock market that just on any given day, it's a rare day when there's not a stock in play. And so I'd be watching that. But let's go take a look at the stock market because things are getting interesting here. A little bit of a bounce. Everyone's shocked that stocks just continue to go up. Stocks are never going down ever again. You can see the NASDAQ into new high ground. Things like Amazon looking beautiful. Look at that. Holy smokes. Nearly $3,000 a share. Very nice. But Amazon, all-time highs, still going. We'll see. We'll see if they keep going. I'm personally shocked that they've continued to bounce this high. But hey, we'll take it. But we'll see here. This is kind of interesting. Facebook setting up here. Potential breakouts, but could also be a resistance, triple top. You've got Tesla. Tesla's never going down ever again. Tesla, $1,300. And I say that sarcastically, guys. For those of you in the Slack room, you guys know what I mean. But look at that. Just holy moly. Tesla, by the way, was a killer buy right here. When everything collapsed under this line, right into resistance, that was it. So you had literally 1, maybe 2 days of opportunity to get it right in there. But nice. What else? Roku. Yeah. Gold stocks consolidating here a little bit, but interesting times, my friends. Interesting times. Okay. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So with inflation, it's a two-edged sword, right? It's like some assets will do well in inflation, right? So you have things like hard assets, gold, things like real estate, commodities in general, and stocks. They actually do well in inflationary environments as long as the inflation is under control. Even if it's high inflation, as long as it's under control, because the money will fly into these assets, they'll be pumped up. So, nominal prices will continue to rise even as the dollar value is dropping because of inflation. What you don't want to see is like a hyperinflation, because then things like real estate don't do well. Commodities are probably the only things that do well at that point, as everybody just dumps stuff trying to preserve their capital and buy hard assets and stuff like that. And then, of course, stagflation, which, the economy really sucks. Then maybe real estate doesn't do so well in that environment. Neither do stocks. But you get the money printing, right? So I just find it interesting that, people doubt that stocks can keep going up as long as the Fed and the money powers continue to print. They do. I mean, that's just the nature of it, right? Wall Street benefits the most out of anybody. And so those big funds and everything are just going to keep plowing money into the shares. And not everything, though. It's not across the board. I think you got to be a little bit pickier these days. I'm not holding anything like S&P or anything like that. Most of my holds are just, the individual issues. But certainly some interesting times here. All right. I guess that's it here. Bad timing, in my opinion. Market will be here in 30 days. Who cares? You know what would have been bad timing? Being out during this 30-day period. But I was there, and I bought some stuff at the bottom, and so I don't care anymore. It's like, whatever. I mean, I do care, but I'm not too concerned. There's no FOMO here. All right. But I appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate the conversation as always. It's always fun to do. I haven't done them in a while, but we'll see. So I figured I'd post it. Oh yes, and by the way, I know today is not the 3rd. I get it. Typo. Before all you people on Twitter start calling it out, I know. I just decided to leave it. I was like, oh man, I already posted it. Who cares? I'm not gonna change it just for that. In a few hours, it'll be 7:03 UTC time anyway, so there you go. That's it. That's what I was doing. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, oh, that's a good looking chart. Very nice looking chart, actually. You have this, you had this initial run and very good consolidation here, right at resistance. Yeah, I'd be watching that one for breakout. That one's looking pretty good. Oops. Cool. That's the 3rd in Australia. Woohoo! There you go. Exactly. My thumbnail, was really more catered to my Aussie friends. You can see the beach right here. There you go. Staking. I'm not a fan of staking. Right? Like, I'm a fan of speculating on things that people like to play staking on. Let's put it that way. For me, locking up coins for any length of time, the volatility of the underlying assets just makes it not worth it most of the time. I mean, think about it. It's just like when people were talking about, friggin' Dash masternodes when they were back here, and when you had NeoGas and all this other stuff. Like, if you look at the actual dividend rate, like, even if the dividend was 10%, 20%, 50% a year, I mean, some of these suckers move that much in a month, right? Like, it's just high risk. To me, when it comes to crypto, liquidity is way more important of a factor than what potential dividend I can get. That's just me. I like liquidity. I think I'd rather speculate and get out on the mania pump and leave some on the table for the next guy. That's fine, but like, I don't know. I'm just not gonna lock up my stuff for a pittance. When it comes to crypto, it is like, think about it, 6%. Freaking most alts can do that in hours sometimes if you get them right. So and then you factor in margin and all that. Like, there's just, I don't know. Hey, to each his own. I'm not saying it's not profitable. It's just not my cup of tea. That's all I'm saying. Some people find it to do well, and if you're a whale and you've got, you don't want to trade and you're just happy with doing that, then yeah, go for it, right? Just not me. So, okay, I think that's going to be it for today, my friends. I don't know, where am I at the hour here? I've probably been going for a good 30, 40 minutes now. I'm looking for my timer. Doesn't matter. But okay, cool. It's the new fad. I know. I started watching all the videos and people posting in the last couple of weeks and all this, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's the latest fad. Everybody started jumping on the bandwagon. But you know what's funny about crypto is, like, I saw a crypto news video talking about the killer app, and I was like, oh my god, now what? Right? And the killer app was, drumroll, lending. It's like, okay, people. Like, that's not exactly the most innovative thing in the world. Like, you're borrowing a page out of what we've been doing for the last 1,000 years. We're just doing it with crypto now. Okay, you can put your crypto as collateral and lend it. That's the next killer app. It's like, okay, guys. I'm just mocking at this point, but there's always something. It's the latest hype, the latest mania. Doesn't mean you can't make money on it. Ride the train, but it's not exactly revolutionary. All right, my friends, it's been a pleasure. We'll see. Keep an eye on this little bit of a range here. And I'm not. So, man, this is going to be tough. Now that I think about it, like, shutting down the charts. And I'm going to delete all of my alerts. I'm going to have to do that, because if I don't, one of them will inevitably go off. And then I'm going to have to check the chart. But no trading. All right.